I used to be an atheist once. An atheist, by definition, is a person who disbelieves in the existence of God. Whether I actually disbelieved in the existence of God is not clear to me today. Back then, when I called myself an atheist, I used to hate God and hate the people of God. Is an atheist also a hater of God? It is a theory that I would not like to deny, and I believe I have some biblical support for that. There are some people in this world who do not want to bow down to God. There are some people in this world who do not want to subject themselves to divine authority. Such people are haters of God, and they may well turn out to be atheists who claim that there is no existence or that there is no proof for the existence of God. Atheism does not appeal to me anymore. I fell in love with God. I fell in love with the Old Testament God, who has been described by a certain atheist as the most unpleasant character in all of fiction. Now, I find him not unpleasant at all. I fell in love with him, and he is not a character in fiction. He is true. He is real to me. And his most beautiful manifestation is the manifestation of Christ. But I am still in love with Yahweh. I am in love with the Old Testament God, because he is always correct. Even when he disciplines people, disciplines the people he loves, he is always correct. God is the creator. He is also the destroyer. What he creates, he has the right to destroy. No man can ever understand that completely. It is possible to accept that theoretically, but no man can accept that, accept the implications of that completely. I believe that one has to be God to understand God. But one can be a man and love God. And I love God. And I'm very glad that I love God.
When I made the video, I used to be an atheist. I received many indignant responses. Atheists were incensed by the suggestion that they could be haters of God. They valiantly maintained that they did not believe in God, and therefore they could not be haters of God. They laughed at the suggestion, and they wondered whether I was schizoid in presenting that connection. The Bible makes it amply clear that there are two sets of people in this world. One set of people acknowledge God and worship Him. Another set of people do not acknowledge God and do not worship Him. I believe atheists come under this category. They may have arguments that indicate the non-existence of God, but their insistence on the non-existence of God stems from an inward antagonism towards God. This antagonism may be conscious or unconscious. One cannot be certain of that, but one can be certain of this, that it is a dislike of God. It is a disposition against God that favors the existence of an atheist, that contributes to the evolution of an atheist. So let me say this again. Every atheist is essentially someone who dislikes God, maybe even someone who hates God. He may not want to acknowledge it. Because if he acknowledges it, it will look as though he believes in God. It is impossible not to believe in God. And this is what the Bible says. There are ample proofs for his existence. If one were to look up at the sky, that's what the Bible says, one sees the work of God. If a man cannot see that, he pretends not to see that, really. It is not that he cannot see that. Therefore, an atheist is not genuinely a disbeliever in God. He is essentially someone who dislikes or even hates God. Bertrand Russell. When I was a student, I was interested in Bertrand Russell because he was a philosopher. He was a well-known man. He was known for his intelligence, known for his brilliance. I came across this essay, Why I Am Not a Christian. I read it. I was very happy to read it, because in those days I was not a Christian myself. And I was very happy to read what a non-Christian, especially an unbelieving non-Christian, an atheistic non-Christian, had to say about God. I was interested. I was very impressed by what Bertrand Russell said about his lack of belief in God and his lack of belief in Jesus Christ as the best and the wisest of men. Back in those days, I was attracted to Bertrand Russell and many other unbelievers. Unbelief was popular, at least in my life. I studied in a Jesuit college. Let me put it accurately. I studied in a college that was run by Jesuits. And I'd like to go to these Jesuits with my friend and quiz them on their religion. I'd like to ask them uncomfortable questions about their faith. My friend and I would ask these questions and make these Jesuits very uncomfortable. Some of them, at least, were uncomfortable to answer these questions. We used to quote Bertrand Russell. We were not very knowledgeable regarding Russell, but whatever little we knew, we used to cite those passages. So my message today is this. There was a time in my life when I was attracted to atheism, when I thought it was intellectual, when I thought it was fashionable, when I thought it puffed my ego, it puffed up my ego, and it made me feel important. And it was good to sneer at religious people, it was good to sneer at believers, and sneering seemed to be an educated and intellectual thing to do. There are men in this world who will go on researching, who will go on questioning, who will go on finding out, and that's good, because knowledge must progress. Wisdom must increase. Human knowledge must increase. But if human knowledge leads one to sneer at others who hold religious beliefs, then that's not the purpose of human knowledge. That's not the best possible use of human knowledge. And those who feel that they have the answers, when they know that they do not have the answers to the real questions, are only fooling themselves into thinking that they do have the answers. They don't. So, this is what I want to say. There is something called spiritual wisdom, and that is a higher wisdom than human wisdom. There is a wisdom called the wisdom of God, and that is always higher than man's wisdom, incalculably higher.
There is no comparison at all. And God said very eloquently, God's foolishness is wiser than man's wisdom. And God has presented a foolish gospel, a foolish message, which intellectual people will sneer at. Of course it is foolish. Of course religion seems foolish. Of course spirituality seems foolish. And let those who risk laughter laugh at religion. Let them continue to laugh. Ultimately, they are laughing at themselves. And this is the sad fact of life.